We have to, right? We hear a lot about celebrities and the stories of what they've overcome. I wanted to do a show that highlights some of the not so well known overcomers and what can happen if we just keep going. From humble beginnings to successful leader, trainer, businesswoman. Today, we'll hear from a woman who will give us a glimpse at the making of an entrepreneurial boss. This is Elaine Redus. So Elaine, I am so glad to have you on with us today. It is such a pleasure to have you on. Just keep going.
Thank you, Toya. Thank you for having me, and I'm super excited about being here.
You are so welcome. So it is a pleasure having you on because I have watched your life over the years, and I know absolutely without a doubt that you are a person that has just kept going. I've seen different things happen. I wasn't there for everything, but I've seen different things happen, and I know that you just keep going. Like you revamp, you reinvent, reinvent.
Yes.
You keep going. And so you're perfect for this show to inspire and encourage people to do the same thing. So I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to get right in, and I want you to just share, whatever it is that you can share with the people to help them to be inspired to keep going as well. All right?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm ready.
All right. So let's start with this, with the idea of what your childhood was like, what type of home you grew up in, and what was your family life like?
Okay, so my childhood. So I actually grew up my first five in a foster home. My mom was a young mother. She was in a foster home. And I went into a foster home, my brother and I, when I was 8 months old. And my brother was about 1.5. And we stayed there until I was in the first grade. And at that point, my mom was, she was out of the foster home on her own, had her own place, and she got us back. So growing up with my mom was a great, foster home was a great experience. I kept in touch with my foster mother. Growing up with my mom was a great experience. She went to work every day. She made sure we knew our family values, and she actually got her diploma when she was 23. So I think that when she was 23 years old, she got her high school diploma. And I think that was, I think now that I'm thinking about it, Toya, that was my first experience of someone who was who kept going. She taught us the basics on how to keep a house, how to keep our house clean, how to cook, how to go to work every day, because she didn't tell us to go to work every day, but we saw her go to work every single day. We saw her come to our school events. We saw her. She just attended everything. She was our biggest cheerleader. And I'm getting a little emotional because
Right.
she passed away 20 years ago.
Okay.
But she was our biggest cheerleader, and she was always there.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to know that she was a young mom, but she was making sure that she was present while she was taking care of all of the needs as well.
Right.
And so from that, you took that from her and saw how much she worked. I know that you also had jobs early on. What was your first job?
Oh, so my first job was a babysitter. And you know what? I thought I was a big baller. I was making $35 a week. And I
How
bought
old
all
were
my
you?
clothes.
How old were you?
I was 13. I was 13 when I got my first babysitting job, and I was a babysitter for actually a 5-year-old and a baby who wasn't even 1 year old yet.
Okay.
And their mom drove Muni. So I would go over there, and that was my summer job.
Okay. And you thought you were a baller. Why?
Oh,
Why
I
did you
was. I
give
had
yourself-
$35 a week.
Yeah, and it's nothing like being able to, go and buy your own school clothes.
It's funny you say we get to choose our own clothes, because I bought all of my school clothes. And this is so funny to me right now, because I went to a store and I bought all slacks and one pair of jeans. I had every color slacks and nice tops to go with it. And now, mind you, I'm in junior high school,
Right.
and I brought home one pair of jeans. So when I came home with my school clothes, my mom was like, "Why do you have all slacks? Where's your jeans?" We wore jeans in our family. We didn't wear dress up clothes, But that's how I wanted to look at school.
Right. So there was this part, it sounds like there was this part of you that was like, you know what? I'm buying this. I'm an upgrade. Okay. Because there's a certain way that I want to look. And you gave yourself the advantage. That's what it sounds like.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
That's really what it sounds like to me. Like you set a standard.
Yes, I did.
And were you making a statement? What statement were you making at 13?
Well, you know what? When I did buy those clothes, and I bought those because I had a friend. She was an older friend, a couple years older than me, and she used to wear slacks, and I liked the way she looked.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to. Her name is Phyllis Smith, and you might know her, but I liked the way she looked. So I wanted to go to school looking neat and professional and look like she looked.
Okay, Elaine, tell me a little bit about the kind of young person you were, maybe from middle school to high school.
I thought I was quiet, but now that I think about it, I don't think I was very quiet. But I tried out for the basketball team and I got cut. So at that point, I started to try out for cheerleader, and that was my whole career, junior high and high school.
Okay. So it's funny that you say that, because I think about the fact that you said early on that your mom was your biggest cheerleader. And how many kids were in your family? It was you and
three. I have my older brother who is passed on, and my younger sister. Okay. Yes, she's 3 years younger than me.
So it's interesting that you said your mom was your biggest cheerleader, and then you ended up being everyone else's cheerleader. Let me ask you about what you did after you got out of high school. How did you transition from high school, and what made you do what it was that you did?
Well, I got out of high school. Actually, I graduated from high school early.
Okay.
And I started working. And, now that I think back, I had to seek out college because the counselors were not at that time reaching out to us and to tell us about college. So I went to ask. I asked about college. Well, how do I get into college? So I filled out my application, and I got into San Jose State. Okay. So in between me graduating, I got out early, so I went back to school to graduate in June. I worked at Pier 39. I wanted to earn my own money. I saved my money, and then I started. I lived in the dorms at San Jose State, went there for 3 years, and then my high school sweetheart came, and then that's when I had my first child.
Okay.
So I didn't end up, I didn't graduate. So I was what I would call a career student. So I went to Foothill College, and I got a diploma from there. And I went to a business college, and I got a business diploma. And from there, I started working in my field, which was accounting. So I had a job at Stanford University, NASA Ames Research Center. And that is when I found out that this is not for me. Okay. So from there, my mom was a school bus driver, and at the time they were making really good money back then. That was in 1989, $15 an hour. So I said, you know what, Mom, can I come work with you? Because I wanted to make money. Right. And I drove a school bus for 5 years.
So you switch, you start driving a bus, and after you do the bus, do you stay with that for amount of years? What do you do?
So in between, while I was waiting, so I got my bus license. While I was waiting for them to call me to work, I started driving a UPS truck.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I started.
You were moving and grooving.
I was moving and grooving, and God has just sprinkled favor all over my whole entire life, because people that started at UPS, they started out as working in the warehouse or driver helpers. I started out as a driver. Wow. So But that wasn't for me either, because I was a seasonal person making they were making $18. I was making $9, and they would pack my truck. They gave me the longest truck. They call them cars, and they gave me the longest one. And I do the best at everything I could do. So I used to make it out of an exercise. I would go deliver the package, run back to the truck, go to the next one, and I would see how fast I can get everything done, come back to the warehouse. And I would wonder why other UPS trucks were parked outside the warehouse and didn't come in yet, because I found out when you come in early, they think you don't have enough work to do.
Okay.
So they add more packages. So that was not for me.
So you had the zeal, you had the go get it, but then you realized that was going against you.
Yeah, so from there, I started driving the school bus, and for 5 years. And then my friend said, "Hey, let's go apply to be a deputy sheriff." I said, "Okay, let's go."
Nice.
And we applied, and I got the job.
How do you make the jump from bus driver to deputy sheriff? Like, is
Well,
that a mentality shift, or do you think it was always, you always had that type of, because you got to be certain kind of person for deputy sheriff, police officer, correctional person. And so was that always there? Was it a significant jump, from being a bus driver to now I'm a deputy sheriff?
I think, now that I look back, I think it was always there, because I have been called bossy my entire life.
Up until now, we've kind of talked about a lot of different things, and we've heard you talk about, continuing to keep going and just persevering, and how you had, an up spirit, and that was just kind of something that you did. But what about the low times? What would you consider to be, one of the lowest, if not the lowest times in your life?
I remember when I took off work one year. This was about 2008. And it was because I was just tired, So I took off, and I was trying to find a way. How can I take off for stress? So I did that for 3 months. And in order for me to actually take off for stress, I had to attend these classes, so I had to go to these groups for stress. So when they started showing the signs of depression, and I attended these groups, that's when I realized, you know what, you have these symptoms. So even though I was super depressed, being a single parent, having to run a household, you just keep on going, So that was when I really realized. And when I met with a team of doctors, because they said, you are not following the program, because, the first thing they try to do is give you medication, right? And I wouldn't take the medication. So, I had to meet with the panel. They said, okay, you are not following the program, so if you're not taking the medication, we're going to have to send you back to work. So when I met with the panel and told them everything I went through, my mom passing away, my dad is in the mental care system, and how my mom passed away, all three at the same time, they said together, you really are depressed, in sync.
Wow.
So, and they tried to get me to switch jobs. They actually gave me approval. They said, you can switch jobs, because maybe this job is not right for you. But I didn't switch jobs. I just, we just get over it.
Right.
And we just go about our life, and that's what I did.
How did you find the to persevere?
You know what? I think it was just always in me. And growing up, just seeing, I remember when my mom was in the hospital, and now I know that she wasn't getting paid at that time because she wasn't going to work. But we just, when we ran out of food, we actually just went to, we had a community garden. So we went to go pick greens, and we had cornmeal. So we had greens and hot water cornbread. And when we ran out of greens, we started to pick the Swiss chard. And that's when I started to like Swiss chard. I didn't know what Swiss chard was until we started to pick it from the garden. And just seeing that my mom, she never gave up. So I think that's what really caused me to just keep going, because I never saw my mom quit. So I just, subconsciously thought that was just the way.
After you got the job at the deputy sheriff, did you have times where, and then you were deputy sheriff at the time in 2008? The pressure
Yes.
that you were experiencing, right? And the depression. How did you get through the depression?
Well, at that time, I think that I prayed some. I just moved myself through, and nobody knew I was depressed, because at that time I was an entrepreneur. I had now been an entrepreneur. Well, I've been an entrepreneur all my life, but I was actually working another business. Okay. And even though I excelled, and oddly enough, that was the year that I was actually number one in the company. Okay. I listened to a lot of personal development. Okay. And so maybe I got the rest that I needed. Right. And then I was rejuvenated.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people don't really understand or realize how much rest they need, because especially if you're a person that's a go-getter, if you're the kind of person that just keeps going and going and going, if you're the kind of person that, is always maintaining and taking care of things that need to be taken care of, you can find yourself being tired and not even knowing that you're tired, because you person that presses through the stress. So after that, how did you, what came into your life after that? Did you stay at the deputy sheriff's office? Were there other things you were trying to do? How long did you stay with the art business?
With the art business, I stayed with the art business, I stayed with them until they were out of business, which was about 2011. Okay. And from there, I was looking for something, because I was with them for 10 years. Okay. And so I was looking for something. So I tried some other things. So at some point, actually in 2000, I was at 2011, I got connected with a financial organization where I was a client. And 2 years later, I ended up working with that organization part-time. In 2013, I started with them part-time. And it's educational. We educate people on their finances. Okay. And we help them. We connect them with some of the largest companies in America. And so I did that part-time. And at that time, I was in deep debt. Okay. So with that part-time, it helped me pay off over $38,000 in debt. Oh, wow. And changed my mindset about spending money. So I started saving money. And then when I saw, because in the beginning, when I started the sheriff's department, that was my first pension job. So I said, you know what, I'm going to work here 20 years. I'll be eligible for my pension, and then I'm going to retire. Well, when I sat down with that company, that's when I found out, when they had me like, well, how does your pension really work? Right. Okay. So I found out, okay, I can retire after 20 years, but I'm not, Elaine, you're not going to have enough money to pay your bills. Okay. Okay. So I got connected with them, paid off the debt. And when I saw the potential of what the finance industry offered me as far as financially, I ended up making a career change. Interesting. Yes. How long were you in that business before you made the career change? 3.5 years I was there. Wow. And when I started, I just started because I've always had a non-traditional second income. Right. So when I started, all I saw is, oh, I can pay off my debt with this money and I can save money and still live my same lifestyle, because I still hadn't changed my mindset yet.
Okay.
So yes, I was 3.5 years in, and I've been with the company now for 8 years. In
Wow.
April, 8 years.
Wow. And so, did you have some people that were strategic in helping you to make that change, and to have success in what you were doing? And what did they see in you? How did you become successful? Because I know that you're successful in what you're doing right now. How did you make that happen? And who helped you to do that?
Well, of course, anything that we do, there's always, most likely, is always someone behind the scenes who's helping, who's mentoring, who's showing you the ropes. Because no way I could have replaced. And at the sheriff's department, we make six figures there,
Mm-hmm.
easy.
Right.
No way I could have replaced that income without mentorship. So I did. And when they saw that I was really interested, they just took me under their wing. And my mentors, they have 20, 25, 30 years in the industry, and they showed me the ropes.
Okay.
And that's how I really became successful.
And you've replaced your six-figure income?
Yes, I've exceeded.
All right. All right. It's good to hear these things, because people, sometimes, looking at our lives, we look at people who are like celebrities and people who are billionaires, but sometimes we don't look at people that are next door to us, or the people who we can touch, to know how they actually moved through life. It's inspiring to see a celebrity, but you're never going to touch them. You're never going to be around them. It's inspiring to look at billionaires and to hear them, say, "Oh, you can do it too." But to see somebody that you really can be two steps from, who has gone through some of the same things that you've gone through, to see that can really be inspiring and help you to keep going. So your life is really inspiring to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really is, because I can see you go step by step by step, and it really is a journey of just moving forward. All right, Elaine, so tell me this. How do you want to leave the world? Like, what kind of legacy are you trying to leave? What is it that you want to be deposited in the earth? When you pass away, what is it that you want people to see or say or have experienced?
Well, I definitely want people to know that I made a difference in their life. Even if I could inspire one person, I help people a lot. So I would love to be known as that person who helped someone when they were in need. Leaving a legacy for my daughters is important. So I'm definitely setting them up so they won't have to go through what I went through. Not only setting them up, but educating them on how to, when this wealth is transferred, properties and whatever else I have for them is transferred, how to hang on to it and keep it. But legacy, I would like to know that I inspired someone.
Well, that is done. You can check that off because you inspired me. If only one person, if you're concerned about one person being inspired, well, you've already done that. So you got that. You can go on and when you go, you can be satisfied, because that's already happened. Is there anything that you would like to say, if you were to say something to people about continuing and persevering and this mindset to just keep going? What would you say to them? And maybe even what would you say if you had an opportunity to talk to Elaine when Elaine was going through her hardest times? What would you have said to her or to them?
First, I would have told Elaine to pray. And my faith has been tested so much. That's a whole nother show in itself. Pray and have faith. belief. And when I tell you, you have what you say, that is true. And not only do you have what you say, but you have to believe it. Okay. So you have to believe what you say. And that just comes with uh believing more, with having more faith, and seeing it happen, because it's just amazing, and God is amazing. I would say that nobody is perfect, because there was a time that I thought everything had to be perfect. So you will make mistakes, okay? And it's okay to make mistakes. Sometimes you make the same mistake twice, but you have to learn from your mistakes. Okay. And hopefully you can learn. And I call it failing forward. It's okay, because so many people think that life is just straight up and down. But if you think about it, it's like the stock market. It's up and down. And it's not, it's when you can get back up and keep going and focus on whatever your goals are. No matter how big or how small they are, you just remember why you're doing what you're doing, and then you just go forward. Also, I would say anything that you want to do in life, because I didn't always believe that I could. I didn't believe that I can purchase a house until my hairstylist told me. She was like, "Well, they're having there's a first time buyer program." So I went, and I actually qualified. And so you have to believe that you can, because I dreamt so much. I dreamt about so many things as a young person and never acted on my dreams. So I would say act on your dreams, because if I would have acted on my dreams, I would have been a millionaire sooner than later. Okay. I'm working on it right now.
That's powerful. That comment right there, act on your dreams. Those four words
Yes.
are powerful, because you and I both know that one of the sayings is that one of the richest places on earth is the cemetery, is the graveyard,
Hmm.
because so many people take the gifts that they have, the talents that they have, the ideas that they have. It sounds morbid, but it's the reality that they
Yes.
take those things to the grave because they don't act on their belief. They don't act on the
Right.
they don't act
Yeah.
on the things that they see or know. And so that is powerfully rich for you to say that to people, because that's how we see what it is that we want in our lives.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Act now. How did you say it again? Act on your belief. Is that what you said?
You have to believe and then act on your
Act
dreams.
on your dreams. That's what it was.
Because we think about so much. When I was young, I was looking at opportunities that generated money. Where as a child, I saw money being exchanged, and that was at the laundromat. I saw people putting money in these machines, and that was at the parking lot. I saw people going in and out, passing money. So I told my brother and sister, we need to open one of those. But I always just had the dream, but never acted on it.
Right. It's pretty
So
interesting that. How old were you about that time?
I might have been in junior high school when I was
Yeah.
wearing those slacks to school.
Yes, this was the 13-year-old slacks wearing
Oh yes, the
entrepreneur.
slacks.
Yes, this was the 13-year-old slacks wearing entrepreneur who already had a mindset to be looking at this money and change going into the laundromat and
Right,
thinking, I need to get some of them coins.
right,
I need to
right.
but that's really cool and interesting to me, because what it shows me is that what a lot of people don't recognize in terms of moving forward is that a lot of who they are going to be when they are older is it's in you. It's
Mm-hmm.
in you when you're younger.
Yes,
Those same things are there. Like the
yes,
entrepreneur, the bossy, the mindset, the wanting to look a certain way, the go get it drive. All of that was in you in the very beginning. All right. Well, let me say thank you for being on with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm just happy that you have shared what you have. And I know that there will be many things from this that people will be inspired. So just as you have inspired me, I know that you will inspire others. And you can again
Check off the fact that you
Thank you.
inspired someone. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Toya. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for watching this episode of Just Keep Going. If you'd like, you can find more of this interview at toyahawkins.com.